Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial, and today we're in one of the officer staterooms, probably a warrant officer stateroom, on the port side of second deck, just outboard of Turret 2's barbette. And this is one of my favorite spaces on the ship, because while much of the ship was updated in the 1980s, this room retains very much in its original configuration. Officer staterooms served both as their bedrooms and oftentimes as their offices. So every officer's stateroom comes complete with a desk. And this is one of the older styles of desks that we have on board the ship. And as far as I know, this is the only one of this pattern we have on board. And you'll notice it's wider than the 24 inches of most things on the ship, so it won't easily fit through a doorway. It's even too deep on the bottom here to turn over and like get the legs through and really get it through. So I suspect this was built into the ship here when the partition bulkhead behind me was installed and just never removed. Like other fittings on the ship, you can see that there is a welded plate into the deck that is pop riveted into the legs of this. So as the ship rocks and rolls, this desk is not removed or cannot slide around the space at all. In addition to the desk, another old feature in this space is the original World War II era fan in the overhead. And this one's cool because one of our volunteers got it working again. You got to be careful with this pattern fan, because you can see the grating on it is not as substantial as you would find on other fans. So real easy to stick your hand in there and get caught by the fan blade. Sailors during World War II apparently didn't have that issue, but by the 1980s, they were apparently having enough issues with it that they had to put bigger baskets on it. So besides just the obvious age of that thing, you can tell that it's an older pattern fan based on the basket around it. Unfortunately, one of the things that was modernized in this space is the phone. This is the 1980s style phone. It doesn't have the original World War II era one. But otherwise, this space even retains its original green paint job, that often known as wardroom green. So, having pontificated about the space a little bit, here is the coolest feature about this desk. Here it is during regular everyday use. I've got room to lay out papers and do whatever it is that I do with it. But when it comes to writing reports and things like that, the desk folds open. And look at these mounting points right here. This is a really, really cool original feature. And like I said, this is the only one on the ship that I'm aware of. The holes drilled into the desk match up perfectly with a typewriter. So keep in mind, the cell phone in your pocket, the laptop that you're watching this video on right now, has more computing power than an entire Iowa-class battleship, as built even in the 1990s. So, prior to computers, typewriters are how you're writing your official typed documents. And just like the desk is mounted to the deck, we've got the mounting points here that the typewriter could be attached to. This has feet on it that can lock into that. And that way, when we close this again, you just have to lift this latch here and pull this over. This folds down and the lid comes back up so that the typewriter is permanently mounted there no matter what the ship is doing. It is right there and ready to go when I decide I need to get up here and type. And also, unlike the regular desk that has me up here, this has my hands down where they're supposed to be. And this is actually much more comfortable, especially when I'm sitting in one of the original battleship chairs that we have here. So there were many different styles of desks originally installed on the ship. And a lot of those are still here. They're too big and heavy to remove. They're welded to the deck. But while many other spaces were heavily modified and the desks were moved around, and we can tell that based on looking at where things have been cut off and whatnot, this room remains largely intact. So it seems like the NIS officer who used this as his office in the 1980s was sitting at the same desk in the same place that some distant shipmate of his sat in 1943. NIS is Naval Investigative Service, and that is the predecessor to NCIS. So does your desk have any cool features like this one? Let us know in the comments section down below. Of all the types of desks on the ship, I'm not familiar with any standing desks. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State, also from a number of other businesses and private individuals like yourselves. We really appreciate your support. It allows us to do deep dives into really small but critical features of the ship. You can also support us by liking, sharing, and subscribing so more people find out about us and the museum. Thanks for watching.